welcome back to my channel. My name is Shamali and we are back on Felmenora, my Springcore island, which is inspired by fairy tales, and today's build is gonna be a sunken waterfall, which is inspired by two fairy tales. The first one is the wild swan and the second one is the goose girl. The first thing I have built is on the left and right some cliffs just to limit how far my sunken waterfall will go, and then I am building a little viewpoint where you will be able to stand so you can enjoy the full view of this sunken waterfall. This is something I kind of forgot the first time I did a sunken waterfall. Just in case you haven't seen that video, it will be linked in the top right corner as usual. And then as soon as I was happy with where we would be able to stand and see my rock garden, which has been built on the first iteration on Felmenora. Now I am just like putting some layout of my cliffs, and I really wanted to have some variation, so I really played with like waterfalls which will be from one side and then two sides and even three squares of waterfalls. So I am really playing with different cliff variation, and here I was just trying something different, like a very large waterfall, but in the end I did not like it, so I decided to go with this. And on the side I also wanted to have, of course, some variation so it's not boring. I just went ahead, filled a little bit the cliff, it just rounded the corner, and I am gonna be building a second tier cliff, as you can see here, so I can have a two-tier waterfall, which is way more beautiful than just a simple waterfall going into the sunken lake. So this is what I am gonna be doing for the next minutes. Just in case, I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about the tales. The first one is called The Wild Swan, and it is written by Christian Andersen. It is quite famous. It is a king who remarries with a witch, and sadly the witch is mean and she decided to turn 11 sons, the 11 sons of the king, into swans, and then the sister is also bewitched, but then she's too strong and she kind of survived the spell, so she has to save her brothers. I'm not gonna tell you the whole tale, sadly, I don't have the time for this, but if you're interested, I would strongly suggest to learn about it because it's a beautiful tale. The other one is one of my favorite from when I was a child. The Goose Girl is a tale from the Grimm's brother, and it is about a princess who is supposed to leave her castle to go and marry a prince in a city nearby, but in the way she got tricked by her maid, and then they switch roles and the maid make her a maid and she pretends to be the princess. And as she arrived, the king is kind of enchanted by the beauty of the maid, so he gives her a job to be the goose keeper. And she is kind of still like enchanted. She has the god fairies that gave her some magic, so she's kind of like super lucky, and in the end it really ends well, like the truth comes out. But it's a super cute tale. It has some very dark and sad parts, but the main part is that it has an arch where her speaking horse head is hung, so she keeps on talking to the horse every time she goes to the goose field. So I decided that on my viewpoint I will incorporate a little arch. Luckily there is no horse head on this arch, but it's like just a little winky on this fairy tale. And during this build I am placing 11 toy duck on my build. If you want to come on the dream address one day and just count them, there is 11, just in reference of the wild swan tales. And at first I wanted to sunken completely my rock garden by putting like water all around it, but I realized it was not very beautiful, so you'll see in a few minutes that I actually changed mind and completely swapped the decoration over there, which I'm very glad I did because it's super beautiful this way. In the meantime, since I am practically just placing ducks and water, I'm just gonna give you some tips if you intend to do such a big build or at least such a big lake, especially in a sunken area. So either you can leave you some way to go back in the middle of the water and just like being able to jump back, which is something I tried to do on my very first sunken waterfall, and it's a tip I still cherish because it's very important to be able to go back to your build. But on this time I was pretty sure of what I wanted to do. I really just wanted a big lake and just ducks. Like if I could escape the land and just place ducks on the water directly, I would have done it. So I decided I would not leave anything to go back in it except one square, which is the only square I had to leave to be able to just like to go out of the of the waterscaping build. So this is my way of working, but if you're less sure on what you want to do with your waterscaping, I would strongly suggest that you leave spots to be able to jump back. Otherwise, you have to de-waterscape everything, kind of where I'm doing here. And it's very annoying and also time consuming because the waterscaping, this is a real chore. Also, the fact that I would strongly advise to play with the bushes as little seeds and not placing like fully grown up bush. Do not time travel because it makes it then easier. You can jump back, you can still walk on top of those bushes as they are little seedlings, and if you sadly let them grow, then you're gonna have an issue and you're gonna need again to waterscape and de-waterscape if you want to access it. So that is my advice, is really to work if you want to place bushes at least to work like this. And remember that you always need a square before placing your object, so I would like really work backward, like from one place, and then you fill everything and you just go until the one spots you want to leave open to be able to leave. And I just finished to decorate my rock garden, and I find it very beautiful, and it's way more natural this way than with the whole water flooding everything. So I'm pretty happy. Okay, for the rest, I am just gonna continue placing my waterscaping and my little ducks. So I'll be back in a minute when it's over. By the way, friends, if you like what you're seeing and hearing, please consider putting a thumbs up to the video. It really does help a lot and makes a difference. And if you're not subscribed yet to my channel, please consider doing so. Thank you so much for your support. And as you can see now in this part, I am gonna work on my waterfalls. I am first doing the first tier of the waterfalls, and I am doing kind of different shape, kind of different water path, and yeah, I am trying first to lay out everything before going on to the second tier of the cliff, where I'll be adding more waterfalls. And I'll go control regularly on the other side of my viewpoint to check how it is looking. You'll see that in a minute. And I am also trying to connect some of the waterfalls to make some kind of interesting shapes, and afterwards for decoration it's pretty beautiful. And I am also gonna be adding some vines just because it's beautiful. Here I am checking the vibe, like how does it look with some vines, how does it look with the current waterfalls that I placed, is everything to my liking or not before I continue, just because it's easier to change a bit rather than making your whole progress and then going and switch everything. And this is a reminder that if you're doing this type of build, it is very important, I'm gonna say, to just place waterfalls also on the sides, on each side of the cliff, unless you have something going on those sides. And yeah, for me, I almost forgot to do it, and I tried to make some interesting type of cliffs, so I had to think like how to make my water path and water streams a bit more interesting and elegant with those cliff shapes. And then I just went back to my viewpoint and analyzed every waterfall and the whole ensemble, like the whole together, just to make sure that it was harmonious. And as you can see, I just had to make some adjustments because it was a bit like too much the same type of path or the same width of waterfall, so it has to make some changes before being super interesting. And now I am going back for a final checkout, and I hope you like it as much as I do, because now I am then adding some more vines onto the cliff just to dress them up a bit. I think the vine is just a blessing from the 2.0 update, because it adds such an interesting look and texture on the cliff, especially for a natural island. And then I am adding some more bushes a bit now and there. And in the object types that I chose to use, I am going with a lot of rocks or rocky item like the rock and flat rock. I am also gonna be using the canopy lanterns, those type of objects that are adding some natural touch while being still objects. And then of course I am gonna be trying to incorporate as much trees and natural elements like bushes and flowers a bit everywhere. I really thought it was interesting of having a sunken tree over there. That's why I left the space open. And now I am adding my trees. I tried to pre-grow the most important one just because I know myself and I'm unable to calculate how much space a trees need to be able to grow. So I just like pre-grow them, and I think it is quite nice, especially when you're doing those type of builds where it's very tight to place trees. And it's also a nice way to not forget to stunt some of your trees by just having already some trees to the correct size, mainly the two days height type of trees, which are the cutest in my own opinion. So I'm gonna be placing a bit more trees, and then we'll be back for some flowers. So this is the look with the trees. I just wanted to make sure that it was very beautiful, and I am in love with the lush vibe from this build. So I am gonna be using, as usual on this island, I'm sticking with very springy colors, so yellows. I love the green mums, I love also white flowers, and I try to incorporate some pink and white flowers as well. They are looking very beautiful, and I try to mix and match. I did not vary too much in the type of flowers. I mainly stuck with the tulips and the mums, and I think it is quite cohesive, so I like it. And then for the objects, as I was telling you before, I am keeping with something very natural, so log stick, rock items, rock type of lamps. I am gonna be placing at one point a little doga snack or whatever it is called, because I felt like it could be some little snacks that is left there for the swan or the duck or the goose or whatever you want to call them. And then I decided to place some little wood planks. Normally nobody should be able to go up that cliff and walk around, but I just thought it was such a nice little cute touch. I love adding the wood wood planks here and there to secret area where you're not really supposed to walk, or you could be walking. And there is a small little dress over there, just like maybe somebody went sunbathing over there and just like forget their dress, or maybe it's just a reference to the girl into the White Swan Tales, just making sure that it's looking great with all the flowers and yeah, adding some more items. So I'm gonna let you enjoy and I'll be back a bit later. So this is the final look of my waterfall. I am super duper loving it. So now what I have to work on next is just making sure we have a beautiful point of view where you want to encourage the person to go who is visiting your island to go stop, maybe sit. So that's why I added a bench, sit and take a picture and enjoy the beautiful view that you just created. And it used to be a picnic area from my sunken neighborhood, which is inspired by Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So I'm still gonna be reusing the same items, which just makes sense, but just in a more welcoming way to push the visitor to go to that bench and to that area. And this is the little arch I was telling you about earlier, that is for the goose girl. And then I am adding here the little wooden plank just to really encourage the visitor to go follow that path and just go and sit on the bench and just enjoy this beautiful view. So it's all a whole big trick to just like get the visitors, the dreamers, to see one beautiful viewpoint, because this build has no other intent than just being a beautiful viewpoint where you go sit and enjoy, wishing it would be like your IRL life or something. So here, maybe if you remember the previous build, the Papa Bear was next to the house, and I just decided to swap them just to have no tall item that would block the view, especially from the bench. From the rest, I don't really mind too much, but from the bench, I really didn't want to have any tall object blocking the view, and that's what I'm like making sure from times to time, like going back to the bench and making sure nothing is blocking my views and my pictures. And then I still decided to place the baby bear on a stool just so it was a bit more visible, because sadly the colors of the blanket and the bear are just a bit matching too much or melting too much into each other. And this is the same issue with this stack of books. It's so beautiful, but the colors is matching too much, and that was driving me a bit crazy. And then I also decided to incorporate, you know, the taller item all together. I mean, there is some height variation because they're not to the same height, but all together to the right part of the build, so they are not blocking the view, but they're also blocking the fact that you would like to observe the view from a point that is not optimal. And so from the bench, I'm sure you can see everything I want you to see from the build. So it's really tricking the person to go there. And then of course I added a small pillow, which is matching my blanket design. At first I was like thinking, oh, it's not gonna work, but in fact I wanted to try it, and I'm not hating it. I think it's pretty. It feels like it could sit actually on the blanket. I don't know, I just felt like a vibe. And of course adding back my soup bowl, just because of like a Goldilocks tail, and that's it in fact. So I hope you enjoyed this build. Don't forget to put a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video. Bye.